I don't care what men think of me. I truly do not.
Do you want to get married?
Yeah, maybe someday.
Do you want to have kids?
Absolutely, yeah.
Biological kids?
Sure, yeah.
You better care what men think about you.
Well, ideally, the man that I'm with is not into something so superficial as looks. Ideally, the man is not into only something as superficial as my looks. I think that's a very fair statement.
I think we should explore that.
I think if I'm only looking for a partner who cares about what I look like physically,
that's
because I look hot. Are you kidding?
Well, that's a rather superficial thing for you to say.
I disagree. I think that I am accentuating the way that I look, and I think that is a very okay thing for me to do.
Well, wouldn't it be superficial to play with your appearance?
Well, right now I'm not doing it so that people will find me hot. I'm doing it so that when you have a bunch of lights and camera on me, that I look okay and I don't have to worry about acne and whatnot. Yeah, see, thank you. I do it pretty natural.
Yeah.
Right, but
she goes, yeah.
But you do care about your own looks.
I do care about how I personally feel about myself, and I think that's the most important thing.
But that has to do with like external reality.
Sure, absolutely. But I think that in 10 years' time, at 21 years old.
If you were stranded on an island and you had a fuck ton of makeup supply, but you had other forms of entertainment, do you think you would put makeup on?
Yeah, but I'm not on a stranded island, baby. I'm in USA.
Yeah. Right, but the argument here is you put on makeup not necessarily for yourself, it's for the external world.
Well, in 10 years' time, I can still do my makeup. I don't really understand what the point is.
I don't understand what your point is.
My point is that I don't really have when I go out because I want to feel hot and look hot. It's not because I'm like, oh, how many people are going to think that I like look a certain way.
We do it for the girls and the gays.
It really is for the girls and the gays at the end of the day. Like if the girls at the bar.
You're bisexual, so you're trying to attract females.
Okay, well, but also not everything's about sex for me.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with sex. You're still trying to attract a partner.
Okay, well, listen.
You just said you do it for the women, but you're attracted to women.
But I do it for the women. It's not because I'm necessarily looking
totally
for
fine.
a female partner.
I think that in 10 years' time, if people don't find me as attractive, then that's not something that I'd want in a partner. Because I want a partner who will find me attractive for the rest of my life.
Right.
I want to grow old with somebody and look at them and I want them to look at me and say, I love you just the fucking way that you are. Because if I'm having kids with this person, biological kids, I want them to love every bit of me because my kid is going to look like me.
Yeah, that's a totally fair position to have, but you didn't really answer the question. The question is, do you think men will find you more attractive in 10 years' time compared to now?
Probably not, because men like girls who just look really young. And I don't think I'm going to look as young when I'm 31. And I just think that that's like I got hit on more when I was 17 than I do now,
okay, well,
and that's just
talking about
true.
Adult relationships here, so.
Well, yes, but you're talking about, do you think I'm going to be more attractive to men in 10 years?
Do you think a man if a man were to find you more attractive now at you're 21 versus like you when you're 41, that would mean he's like a P word? Is that what you're trying to
that's
say?
not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that I don't judge. I am not. My whole life doesn't revolve around how attractive people think that I am.
Yeah, I didn't make that claim.
So then why
is that men like younger women?
My point is that I think that men will probably not find me as attractive at 31 than I am at 21. However, I don't think that that's going to be an impact on my life at all. Because ideally the partners, the kind of men that I'm dating right now are not going to be the same kind of men that I'm dating when I'm actually searching to get married and settle down.
What do you mean by that?
Like right now I'm just looking for fun. I can fuck a guy who has different political views than me just because I can just fuck him. But if it comes down to me getting married to this person, I want someone to have the same values and morals as me.
Which political views are those?
Well, I feel like it's fairly obvious judged on all of my responses today.
Kamala?
Well, I am not pro Kamala. Also, it's Kamala. But I'm definitely anti-Donald Trump. Fuck that guy and his orange Cheeto head. Yep.
Oh boy.
Well, that's why I didn't bring it up. See, hun? It's okay. It's okay.
I'm not triggered by your criticism.
You're going in the crystals.
So
going in the crystals. What's your crystal color? What is it? What's the crystal color that you want to go into?
Is this something about the podcast I'm not familiar with?
What does that mean?
He likes to put liberals in
witchcraft stuff, like witchcraft, magic.
Put me in a carnelian, because that's the stone of love, baby.
Yeah,
and I'm
what
all
color is
love.
that?
It's orange, like the color I'm wearing today.
So you get an orange crystal.
Yay!
Yeah.
See, I'm not ashamed by that. Okay.
No, we love crystals.
You know what? I think that I'm hot now, and I think I will be hot in 30 years, or not 30 years, 20 years, 20 years. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is, I don't think it really matters. I think that what's more important to me is my brain, my psyche, and my moral cavity.
I do want to go back to the whole thing about when it came to, you said it would be superficial for a guy to care about your looks.
Well, I think that
Is
is
that your position?
okay. Let me explain that a little bit further because I think that it maybe is going to get misunderstood. I think that it is superficial for someone to only care about looks. I do think that attraction is an extremely crucial part of having a relationship with somebody. It's really hard to be with someone who you don't find physically attractive, even if there is an emotional connection there. So, with that being said, I do think that it is important for you to be sexually and physically attracted to your partner, but I do not think that that should be the only basis. And so ideally, the person that I'm looking for, maybe I am not their ideal woman physically, but if they like me on every other point of value and I like them on every other point of value, that is way more important to me than someone who is just dating me for my looks.
Aren't you kind of contradicting yourself a little bit?
I don't think so. I don't think so because it's human chemistry. Attraction is chemistry.
No, hang on. Let me.
No, please. Sorry.
Yeah. Let me explain what I mean.
Yeah.
So, it sounded like you were saying. So what Brian's asking is for you to base your looks essentially on whatever you think objectively they are from a physical standpoint. I assume that most people get their objective standpoint, whatever they call their objective standpoint for their looks, based on what they think the opposite sex thinks they essentially rate at, right? Mm-hmm. When you say, well, okay, but there's this internal aspect to it, I don't deny that, right? But if you then agree, well, the physical attraction is going to be very important to you in a relationship, I'm assuming that you think the physical attraction is going to be very important to the man in the relationship.
Yes.
So wouldn't we be utilizing still the standard of attractiveness from the man, right?
Absolutely, but my point still is that I'm not going to be any less attractive 10 years from now. So it doesn't really matter if someone finds me, because if someone doesn't find me attractive, okay, I won't be with them.
No, I
feel
get
like it's
that,
a simple,
right?
yeah.
But I just don't see how that really contends with it because it's still a physical attractiveness. So do you think that men in general will find you more attractive in 10 years than they do right now? I guess that's the better way.
I already answered that and I said no, I don't think so, based on my experience.
No, you don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then doesn't that seem to kind of follow then that would mean that you think you'll be less attractive in 10 years?
Well, you know what? My ideal man is not like all men. So, and also, who knows if I'll even be with a man? And like I said, I am bisexual and I'm very much 50-50. Just because I like women right now sexually does not mean that I think I'm going to settle down with a man. I think that I very well could settle down with a woman as well. And women have different standards of beauty.
Yeah, they're pickier.
That's fair, right? I mean, it is.
I disagree. You should see some of these butch lesbians.
It is rare for bisexual women to actually get married to women. It's usually more common.
Do you have a statistic on that?
Yeah, actually, I can pull it up. Sure. It's actually very.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's very, very low. Just in bisexual women. Mm-hmm. So that's with bisexual men, the opposite. It's very strange, right? Well, they still marry women more, but they still marry men at higher rates. It's very strange how the sexual dynamics work there. But back to this, when we're talking about physical attractiveness, you say in 10 years most men will find you less physically attractive than they do now. Then it sounds like, based on your objective standard, you think you would be less physically attractive than you are now.
I wouldn't think that. I think that I'm going to get hotter in 10 years. But I know
you're not basing that on a physical standard.
Yes, I am. Absolutely, I am. Are you kidding? I just described it. I said that just based on I can look at my family and my genetics and see the people and the way that they have aged, and most of the people in my family have aged very, very well. And if anything, I am just not concerned about how that's going to happen, because for me, like I said, it might have come off as satire earlier when I said this, but I genuinely do think I get more beautiful every year. I think that is a part of growing as a human being. Your physicality changes every year.
But that seems that's what the contradiction is, because if the idea here that you agree to is that you get your beauty standard on what men think is beautiful, and then in 10 years you're going to be less beautiful to men, then by your own beauty standard, you'd be saying you're less beautiful.
No, babe. I'm sorry. I think I was maybe confusing you a little bit. My personal beauty standard is my personal beauty standard, and that is not.
Where does it inform from?
My family members, the girls that I admire. Things that make me feel good and feel confident, the way that when I look in the mirror and I tell myself in the morning that I'm beautiful and I actually agree with it. Like I said, I have dealt with a lot of body and face issues in my physicality my whole life. I know some girls might not, they might look at me and not believe that, but now I know objectively, I can have a better standpoint with it. But I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that my own beauty standard is my own beauty standard. The things that I find attractive are not always the things that my friends find attractive. And like maybe that even goes into dating. Like the kind of guys or girls that I date, my friends will look at me and be like, really? You know, like that sort of thing where, you know, subjective opinion is subjective opinion. And so
yeah,
that
but there
can...
seems to be universals, right? There seems to be some pretty agreed upon universals. And it makes sense.
Exactly. The agreed upon universals is that men usually like girls who look a little bit younger because they always say that youth is a virtue and all that stuff.